All right, folks, my name is David Rutz with David Allen Capital. It's my pleasure to be sharing with all of you this evening's presentation. And we are excited about our special guest tonight. We have two individuals with the SBA Freedom Protect team on our Zoom tonight. Both of them are experts at marketing our service. Scott Fardulis, starting with him, he is an expert in our industry of direct sales, team building, leadership. He's been in this space of network marketing, which is really leadership, right? Leadership, you don't build a big group if you're not capable of leading a big group. He's got a big group. He's one of the top 5 earners in all of Longevity. He's one of the ambassadors. Longevity has over 110,000 active agents. That's active, meaning doing volume every month. There's hundreds of thousands that aren't active, and he's in the top 5 ambassadors. So that says something about track record, right? And here he's done it with Longevity, with all these products before the healthcare plan. And then the healthcare plan came along, and he's still supporting everything. He leads with everything. He loves Longevity's products. But there's nothing that's got his passion like the healthcare product. And he's gotten clients with it. He's also part of their corporate team now. And he's also brought David Jones over. David's been in the sales space of insurance for over 20 years. And that means he's talked to a lot of clients. He knows what they want to hear. He knows what they want to, how they want to protect their patient, their families. He knows what personnel departments want to do, want to protect tax ramifications, costs, deductions, employee deductions, all the things that we get intimidated about as individuals up front until we know. He's not intimidated by that. He's gone through it enough. He got comfortable being uncomfortable until it became comfortable. And all of us can go there. But here's the greatest news of all with DAC Healthcare. You do not need to become an expert. You're going to get all the training you need tonight. It'll be a recording. You can watch it over and over and over again, and then over and over and over again, and over and over. And you'll get other people's experience through this training, information that works, words that work, attitudes that work, systems that work, processes that work, and all you got to do is get comfortable referring it. And David Jones is going to be going through that information. Scott Fardulis is going to be going through that information. And then in the end, they're the experts on your shoulders. Not only are they going to be in your ears after tonight, hearing it over and over, but once you refer a client, they're literally there to help. Them and their team are literally there to help your clients, so you don't have to be the expert. They are. And for many of you, you're watching this for the first time, or you'll be watching this recording for the first time and learning about healthcare. You're going to hear all about it tonight. And also tonight, we're going to launch a cash bash. They're giving away money. Wasn't my idea. They called me one day, said, we got an idea, and I'm going to save that till we go through it. But I was blown away. Thousands of dollars are being given away by this team, in addition to the commissions that they're already paying, which were already second to none. So I couldn't be more excited to get this kicked off. We've got another Zoom after this one for new prospective agents, and this excitement's going to carry over. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to the wonderful leader, our friend, our great family man. And not only a great family man, become a great friend of mine. We're tried and true together. We're like partners, even though we're not contractual partners. We're partners in Christ, and we're partners in business, and we're partners in trying to bring the best opportunity available to agents all over the world. Scott Fardulis, the Zoom is yours, my friend.
David, thank you so much. What an awesome set of words you used, and what a great introduction. I'm just beaming over here because I know that what you're saying isn't just a figure of speech. It's everything you said is absolutely true. Our relationship is amazing. I'm so thankful for your friendship first, and just all the years that we've logged together, just doing life and traveling and doing what we do, and knowing that it's all paid off. I mean, you have an extraordinary life. I've got an extraordinary life. Our goal tonight is to impart to everybody else tuning into this call that they either have one or are in the midst of making their own extraordinary life. And so I want to thank you, David, for being an impeccable leader. Someone that really is a man of integrity and says what he means and means what he says. And your creativity is really ingenious. What you've done with David Allen Capital and the services that are being provided here, and the healthcare plan most recently, is just so attractive. It's like looking at a bowl of ice cream and turning it down. It's hard to do. And at least for me, it is. I'll speak for myself. It's hard for me to turn
Me
it
too.
down.
Yeah.
That being said, we're here to talk about DAC healthcare because it is making massive ripples right now. If you don't know about it, you absolutely need to. And I'm going to give you a whole bunch of reasons why that is absolutely true. So by a show of hands, can I see, for all of those of you that are on camera, by a show of hands, can I see how many of you agree that healthcare right now is more relevant and prevalent and necessary than ever before? If I could see a show of hands, how many of you agree with that? Okay, so that's no secret. I think we get a unanimous answer out of that. Here's what matters more than anything. We have, when I say we, I mean David Allen Capital, DAC, we have something, and I'll explain what the something is, that nobody else has and everybody else needs. Now that alone is something that just makes you stop and we have something that nobody has and yet everyone needs it. And when you have that type of a thing, you enter into a terminology that I think you'll start to hear a little bit. It's going to become a buzzword in my opinion, but I mean it not figuratively, but matter-of-factly. And the word I want you to think about is disruptor, okay? DAC is a disruptor. And I want you to write that word down and I want you to start using it because it's a powerful word and it's an appropriate word. When you have something that is bucking the system, that is going against the grain, that is making everybody go, whoa, 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 what is this we have here? How come we've never seen this before? Where has this been? How come I've never heard of this? That's what you call a disruption. It's when all of a sudden you get everybody's attention and it's really, truly different. And the reason we have something different is because we decided to embark into the healthcare world in a capacity that hasn't been done before inside of our space. And we'll explain that in just a second. So when you have a disruption, write this down, the most amount of money can be made. When something is disruptive, then you get paid. If it's not disruptive, then you're just me too. It's like, oh, everybody's got that. That's just run of the mill. That's not when you make money. That's not when you have something profitable. You're profitable when you have a disruption. So that's why I wanted you to write that down. And now, I want you to think about this too. So you're going, well, yeah, but it's healthcare. Let me be really clear. We're going to ask two questions, right? I did this once before and people were like, whoa, that made so much sense. We're going to ask ourselves right now two questions. Here's the two questions. And I want to see a show of hands by this so that we're all in agreement. How many of you believe that everyone should have or needs to have healthcare of some sort? Raise your hand if you believe that everyone should have access to healthcare. Okay. The next thing is, how many people know that they need healthcare? Do you need to convince them of it? How many of you, in other words, the question is, do you think that that's a surprise to people, or do you believe that everybody already knows that they need healthcare? Raise your hand if you believe they know that they need access to healthcare. Okay, so they need it, and here's the second piece. They know they need it. In other words, this is not a hard sell. You're not coming along going, well, let me explain what healthcare. They already know what generally the topic is, so you have their interest. Here's the thing. People are sick and tired of being extorted and being picked on and bullied and made to pay sums and amounts of money that they don't even have. And now we feel guilty. Here's the word, shameful, that we don't have the ability to afford what should be available to us. Now I get it, it's a free enterprise system and we live in an open world where people can charge, but when all of the healthcare providers have come together to say, let's just make this as expensive as possible, and if we all band together and raise the bar on what the price is, then nobody has any options. Now they're working inside of what's called a monopoly. Well, this is once again why we're being very disruptive, because we've come along now, we're providing healthcare through David Allen Capital, through DAC, in a capacity that is unlike anything else out there. And I want you to write these things down. So there are three questions that people want to know. Number one, the first question that people want to know is, when something goes wrong, am I covered and who do I have access to? Okay, that's the first thing. Well, where can I go? What are my options? So that's number one. The second question people want to know is, okay, I see that I have these options, but is it convenient? That's number two. Is it convenient, or do I have to go into the wild blue yonder and really upset myself here to get access to healthcare? The third question is what's it going to cost me, or can I afford it? Does this fit inside my budget? Okay, so we're going to answer all three of those questions. And number one, here's what they are. Number one, our pricing for healthcare, if you just take the average cost of healthcare across the board, we're finding that we're anywhere between 20 and 50% less expensive than everybody else. So, I don't want to take the time to mention the names of all the companies that equal everybody else, but if you take those top 10 companies, and I don't want to pick on any of them, because we don't need to do that to make ourselves look better. We just are better, in my opinion. So Geico did really well. They made their billions on a 15-minute phone call, could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. You've heard that commercial, haven't you? I mean, raise your hand if you've heard that commercial. It's been around forever, right? So now I want you to imagine, potentially, a few minutes of your time could save you 20 to 50% on your healthcare costs. If people made billions on a 15% savings on your car insurance, don't you think that you stand to make a little bit of money if you could show people a 20 to 50% savings potentially? And the answer is yes, you could. Okay, yes, you could. That is possible, right? There's my double-digit finger slinging around. So yes, you could. That is possible. So I'm using the word possible on purpose because we're not making any claims or any promises or guarantees. I want you to use your head. You have to do what we do. We're very logical, we're very practical, we lay out all the case evidence, and then we say, yeah, that just makes a lot of sense. Number two is raise your hand if you know that all healthcare plans have really big deductibles, and those companies put those deductibles in place so that the algorithms show that you're going to pay all of your own healthcare costs and the benefits will never kick in. Raise your hand if you know that they do that to you. You're aware of this, right? Okay, well, if that's what they do, and we're attempting to do the exact opposite, number one, we're less expensive for the reasons I mentioned. Number two is, what if I told you that we, through DAC, okay, this is not just we, this is you, this is DAChealthcare.com. You do not have any deductibles. Zero, write that down, 0 deductibles. So number one was less expensive. Number two was no deductibles. Are you out of your mind, you're saying? Is this real? It's real. No deductibles. It means that when you need help, assistance, healthcare, a procedure, go to the doctor, have a physical, it means that you have a financial benefit to your gain on dollar number one. And OPS, by the way, it's not small, it's significant, big time benefit. Number three, you ever heard of these things called like pre-existing conditions and, oh, well, too bad for you. We just aren't going to cover you because you're predisposed to this other stuff that you've had issues around. On our freedom plans, I say our freedom plans, DAC's freedom plans, on the freedom plans, you don't have any pre-existing conditions. You've been dealing with something, they're covered through the freedom plans. Okay, that's great news. Number four, okay, we're counting here. That's number three. Number four is we partnered with this massive, so this is answering the question, who do I have access to? You have access to the largest PPO network in the nation called PHCS. And if you want to go see who's in there? As much as anybody could be in there, they're in there. So this is like the biggest. So if you don't like it, you won't like anything because this is like the biggest. So you couldn't say, well, I don't like that network. Well, then you won't like anything because there's nothing better than PHCS. So that's how good it is. And isn't that great? And all that's through DAC Healthcare. This is you. And so you can stand tall and proud and put your shoulders back and your chest out and hold your head high and not be like, oh yeah, we just kind of put up with that, or oh yeah, we just deal with that, or oh yeah, we just don't really have any options. No, we brought you the best. Only the best will do. Nothing less than the best. Number five is, open enrollment is a really big deal. So here's what's really cool. You've heard of, raise your hand if you've heard of open enrollment. It's this little window of time in the year where you've got to get in that little window. If you don't slip in there at the right time, forget it. You got to wait a whole other year. And so then you go through the rest of the year crossing your fingers and going, please, Lord, don't let anything happen to me or my family. That's your health insurance policy. It's a good one, by the way. That's plan A. Sorry, probably shouldn't say that's not PC, but who cares? It's a private call. So that's where I stand on that matter anyways. Now cat's out of the bag. So that's a good plan A, and a great plan B is to make sure you've got the right things in place around the right healthcare plan so that you're not playing, this game of roulette and chance. So that's important. And when you understand open enrollment, when someone comes in and they register into your DAC business and they understand our healthcare, they have the current month that they enrolled in and the next month to the 25th of the month to make a decision to implement their DAC healthcare plan. That's not open, and I mean, that's real open enrollment, right? That's all year long open enrollment. And OPS, by the way, we'll mention this more in a little bit, but speaking of open enrollment, if you're already part of DAC and you've already been aware of this, then you have until July 25th to put your healthcare plan in place. And if you opt out of that, you will not be able to put a healthcare plan in place until November. Did everybody hear that? So if you're new, you can enroll anytime you want to. It doesn't matter what the month is of the year, you can enroll. You have your current month until the 25th of the next month to make that so. If you opt out of that, that's on you. Then there's a real open enrollment and you're not allowed to enroll until November. Got that? Everybody clear? Raise your hand if that was clear, what I just said. So there's no confusion on this. Okay? So point number 5, no open enrollment restrictions. Okay, that's point number 5. When you're talking DAC healthcare, there's no open enrollment restrictions. They can enroll right now, today, tomorrow, next week. They have this month and the next month to make it so. Number 6 is pretty cool stuff. And this is just where, you know, for you guys, here's what you need to know. We take as much as we can and we put it into the DAC healthcare plan so that you are able to get compensated and rewarded for you talking about the healthcare plan. And in a little bit, David Rutz is going to come back and talk about the strategy around the compensation plan. So there you have it. I've just given you 6 things, you know, and you just think right now, what's the biggest and the first insurance company that comes to mind? Just think it. Don't say it out loud. Just think it. Are they going to pay you to talk about them? Are they? Okay. No, they're not going to pay you, are they? Are they going to do those other 5 things leading up to the 6? Are they going to do those other 5 things on your behalf? No, they're not going to. So now do you see, raise your hand again and tell me if you understand why this is now very disruptive. Okay. I just went over to a PGA golf course on behalf of DAC, by the way. Over 100 staff people, 100 employees are now there. They dropped one of the top 5 largest insurance companies in the nation with a huge history of one of the largest broker relationships that you could possibly have. One of the biggest boys or girls on the block. They dropped that relationship and they chose us. When I say us, I mean you, DAC Healthcare. They dropped that other stuff. When they heard what we were doing, they literally said, wait a second, let us get this straight. You're able to do, and I went through the 6 things, right? This, and this. Yes, we are. And you've got a catastrophic plan on there? Yes, we do. Great. They switched just like that. Just like that. And you know what? That turns into real dollars and real cents and real revenue for you. And it's not just one time like, oh, thank you very much and have a great day. Thanks for the referral. It's every month. You understand. By the way, there's a survey. I'm going to find it. I got to tell you this survey. Some third-party company did this survey, and it asked the question, what are the top 5 things that people will not stop paying once they put them into motion? You want to write these down because this is a selling point for you. Number 1 is your house. You know, you will not miss paying out your house because you can't imagine yourself having to live out in the cold weather or, you know, sitting in the rain with nowhere to go. You cannot imagine yourself doing that. So you're going to pay your rent. You're going to pay your mortgage. Number 2 is your car. You cannot imagine having your car repossessed or towed away or sitting in a shop without providing you transportation so you afford your car. Number 3 is your cell phone bill. You cannot imagine. You ever looked around and seen all the homeless people with cell phones? Even they have cell phones. That's how important they are. Everyone has a cell phone. You see people asking for money on street corners and they're sitting there texting when no one's watching and putting money in their jar. You seen that before? They all have cell phones. So number 4 was healthcare. Number 4 was healthcare. So we're not, you know, yet, who knows where David Allen Capital will go. Right now, I don't think, I mean, I don't want to say anything here, but we're not in the mortgage business per se. You know, we're not really in the cell phone business per se. We're not really in the car loan or car business per se. But guess what we are in? We're in the number 4th spot. That 4th thing, that's what, see, what I love about David Rutz is he sees an opportunity and he goes, how can we do that? When I mean that. When I went to David Rutz and I said, hey, we should have a conversation about this topic right here. He said, I've been thinking about it. What are you thinking? We laid it out and he goes, holy smokes. He goes, this is good, like really good, like finger licking good. And so it took a year, literally an entire year to fine tune everything, but that man wouldn't stop. He'd be texting day and night. Well, what about this? And have you thought about that? And can we do it like this? And can it work like that? We whittled it down until it works the way that it needs to work right now. And the way it's working is in your best interest and on your behalf. That's the way it's working. That's the way we do things at DAC. So that's important. And we knew that this was going to be a perfect storm. And we knew that we had all the things here to make this a successful program. So what we've done, and David Rutz tipped you off to it, we have literally decided that the next 90 days are going to really matter. Write this down, the next 90 days, okay? Write it down, the next 90 days. So David will go through the compensation plan and it is delicious. Like, now we're not allowed to make claims and I'm not allowed to tell you like how much money you're gonna make or insinuate anything like that. But I want you to just start doing some math in your head. What if every time you turned on somebody, you made an average of $15 per person that's using our healthcare plan? How many people do you want using the healthcare plan? And when we fall into that 4th spot and they never stop paying, could you imagine, like I did, I went to a PGA golf course and you pick up 100 people with a conversation? Can you imagine? I mean, do the math. I just told you what the average is, $15, right? And you go have a conversation with a business and they come on board and they say, that this makes a lot of sense, we're switching over. That wasn't a $1,500 job. Job is trading time for money, right? That was a $1,500 impact to monthly cash flow or income or commissions. Do you see that? And when we say that it's number 4 on the list, they're not going to stop paying for it. That's whatever the word you call it when it's repeatable, right? That's what that is. So how many of those do you want? A lot, right? And tonight we're going to talk about it. So we're infusing on top of the compensation plan. When I say we, this is David Jones and myself. We are infusing major cash incentives for when? The next 90 days. So we're talking July, August, and September. You're going to want to listen carefully because David Rutz is going to talk about this in a few minutes. And I'm going to let him explain what the cash looks like that David Jones and I are infusing into DAC on your behalf for how long? The next 90 days. And we're not kidding around here. We're not, first of all, the compensation plan is good enough. We're just going above and beyond and putting like deliciousness and hot sauce and mojo all over this topic. Okay? See, deliciousness, hot sauce, and mojo. That's got to taste like something. Not boring. So there's that. And this is, in my opinion, this is the ultimate foundation for creating wealth. Now, let me qualify that. I'll be 49 in 2 months. And I have been in this field, this realm, whatever you want to call it, direct sales, home-based business, network marketing. I've been in this field for 31 years. And I can tell you, I think I can state facts. If it's about me, I think I can say this. We have made massive income by working hard. To be clear, and I'm not giving you a dollar amount, I'm just saying we've made plenty of money inside of this space that we call network marketing. And we're going to show you why, in our opinion, this is the most timely topic to hit your brain right now. And if you'll take action on this, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, it's not an industry opinion. I believe this is the most profitable thing that exists right now inside of this space. And the world is waiting for it. It's hungry for it. You don't have to go begging for it. They're like, feed me, show me something new and different. I'm sick and tired of all the things out there that make people sick and tired. and you're going to bring a piece of relief to them. So David Jones and I entered into a partnership with David Rutz and Longevity and David Allen Capital. And I'm telling you what, this was a really good move for everybody's sake. And you have the ability to capitalize on that. So we are protected from our competition. I want you to know that. Nobody else out there is doing what we're talking about. So if you're going, is this like something else? Nope. Write this down. This is not like anything else. Write it down. It's like nothing else. There's nobody out there that has permission to do what you're doing unless we give it to them. Okay? So the big insurance companies out there, they're not able to do this. If they could, they would. And they've already attempted, and they can't. So you are protected in this space. So bottom line, go light it up and have some fun. Light it up and have some fun. This is your moment. You got to seize it. So the way you need to look at this is you have first mover initiative. Write it down, first mover initiative. You've got to understand that there's something about first mover initiative. So on that note, I want you to meet someone here that I have a huge amount of respect for. His name is David Jones. I've dropped his name on you a few times right now. David Jones has been in the insurance industry since 1974. And he will jokingly tell you he's so old that he and Moses got started at life about the same time. So he's a funny guy. And he's been around for a little while doing this. I have huge respect for him. He's super knowledgeable about insurance and the program that we have right now. My hat is off to him because he's one creative man that understood enough to know that it was time for a change. And so change is what we have here. And he came knocking on my door. We've known each other for about a decade, but he came knocking on my door with this topic about 3 years ago. And as soon as I saw it, I went, oh my goodness, we have got to figure this out. And we're going to drop this right here in our backyard. That's exactly what we've done. So I want you to meet him. First of all, just to make sure he's on the side of the speaker here that we're dealing with. David Jones, are you able to hear me right now? Are you on the line?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
Okay. Perfectly, yes. So everyone, this is a good friend and a business partner of mine, David Jones. I'm going to ask him some questions. We're going to do a little interview right now. And I've thought about the most important questions for you to know right now. And if you're starting out and you're like, wow, this sounds great. How am I successful at this? Who do I talk to? What do I say to these people? Where do I begin? Where do I end? Blah! Sometimes we get lost in translation. We know it's exciting, but we're like, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You're like wondering what are the next steps, right? And so you want it laid out. Boy, that was a horrible tune. I started on the wrong note and too high, and that was terrible. Marlo would be cracking up right now. That would just be good stuff for stage comedy. So David Jones, 1974, he brought this program to the market. He came to me with it about 3 years ago. We fine-tuned it together, and David Rutz is where we ended up taking it. So you guys do have something very special. So David, since you're here on the speaker side with me, you've got a lot of people here. 121 people are tuned into you right now, and they're all eager to know, how do we take this and make this a success? So first of all, everyone, we have a contest that is being launched right now. It's going to involve a couple of things predominantly: enrollments into healthcare and people putting in quotes for businesses into the quoting system that is found inside of the dachealthcare.com website called Get a Quote. When you go there, you're going to want to put validated bona fide businesses inside of that quoting system, and you're going to want to put as many as possible in there, because when you do that, we then come along your side with your help. We come along your side and we handle all the things that you don't know how to handle. We know you're not an insurance agent and you don't need to be one. We know that you don't have a background in healthcare plans or healthcare programs. You don't need to. And so we're here. We have experts. All of our staff at SBA Freedom Protect is the parent company. SBA Freedom Protect, they are there as customer service for everyone at DAC to answer questions that have to do with, well, how does this compare to United? How does this compare to Cigna? How does this compare to Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield? How does it compare to Humana? Just saying. And we go, here's how that compares. And you don't have to answer those or be the expert. So David, with all these people listening in right now, the first question I want to ask is, can anyone do this? I just said it, you don't have to have a background, but truly, do you believe with the right training, that anyone right now who's excited about this, can anyone go out there with the DAC healthcare program and appropriately represent this? And if so, what does that look like to appropriately represent this? Why don't they need to have an insurance license? And why can they, with confidence, go have a ton of fun and create all kinds of interest? And when creating that interest, be compensated to create that interest. David, does that series of questions make sense? And does that give you enough to stem off of or jump from?
Sure, Scott. Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate the introduction. And yes, you and I and David Rutz have worked on this and putting this whole thing together. And we have an incredible staff as well that's here to help. But let me say one thing. A lot of you are probably sitting there thinking this is too complicated to do. And if you're thinking that, you're thinking totally wrong. Because right now, the marketplace with the COVID virus, a lot of employers are dropping their health plan because it's too expensive. We can cut a lot of health plans in cost in half. Plus, we don't have the high deductibles. And that's the story that you have, that you can go out and get an interest. Because, you know, when I started in this business, like Scott said, I started back in 1974. And I started prospecting for companies to introduce them to the health plan that I had then. And I would go in and talk to employers, and employers, they would either be interested or not interested. But I'm going to give you a little bit of advice here in doing this program. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. And if you're in sales, numbers game is the same with everything. The more people you talk to, the more interest you're going to find. And the key thing here is, if you can find an employer that has 2 or more employees, 2 to 50 is hot, because those people, they understand what plan they have. They don't have to go to some insurance committee like the big companies do. And they don't have to really go through the total evaluation with their HR people and everything. The small groups understand what they have. They understand if they don't have a plan, how costly it is, because I'm sure they priced it. So here's the key. The key is start identifying groups like hairdressers, restaurants. Restaurants are coming back alive, and they're not keeping their health plan because it's too expensive. I talked to one 2 days ago, and their health, it was last Friday. I talked to one Friday. Their health plan is $1,600 a month for just themselves, the owner and his family. Ours is $1,100 a month. That's exciting to him, because he says, "How can you do it?" Well, you know, we've been doing it for 3 years, and we've not had a rate increase for 3 years. So for each and every person that's on this, you are getting ready to hear one of the greatest contests. And I want to tell you something. The co-op, and what makes this legal, and it doesn't have to be insurance, is that it is a sponsored co-op ERISA program. That does not come under the regulations of insurance. It comes under the regulations of the federal law. And I've seen this done in the 80s and the 90s, and I've seen a lot of different plans over the period of time I've been in this business. That's why when I saw that there was a document that we could actually purchase and get involved in this, I did it. And I'm going to tell you, my heart has been very much into network marketing for a long time in my life. I mean, I started my first, the first network marketing company I was in, I was 32 years old, and it was a diet program. I had a lady approach me from my church, and she walks up to me and says, "David, you're too fat." I'm going, "What?" She said, "You're too fat. You need to take this." And I'm going to tell you, this is honest God truth. I didn't know it was network marketing. I just started taking it. I started losing weight. I started handing off containers to different people. They started taking it. I get this check for $823 in the mail. I call up Ruth. This lady's name was Ruth. She was in her late 70s. So I call her up on the phone and said, "Ruth, what's going on here? I didn't return any of the product." She said, "No, that's your commission check." I said, "What do you mean commission check?" I knew what commissions were. She said, "This is a network marketing company." I didn't even know I was signing people up. I was doing it blindly, but I was going out and I was excited. So the excitement is what drives you. The excitement And what Scott and I and David are doing, we are going to help you through all this next 90 days on this contest so you can be successful with it. And the unique thing is if you win the contest or you don't, and you get up there and you start writing business, this company does pay commissions. Right, Scott and David? Nod your head. Yes, we do. We pay commissions. And there are people in David Allen Capital and Longevity that's making money. They're making money now, and we don't want you to miss out. But here's the key. However many calls it takes, I was telling Scott today about an Allstate agent. I was telling them, he and David, she's interested in getting involved. She's interested in getting her clients on board. Well, gosh, there's somebody to sponsor. I can sponsor a rep. There's so many avenues to take your program, because guess what? If that person you sponsor sells something, the commissions also roll up to who? You. So the key is to make a list of every type of industry, small companies that you can think of, that you have a connection to, or some of your relatives may have the connection to it. But it's all about prospecting and prospecting, and I've had a chance to watch several people here on this call tonight, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of people here. I know, I can just tell you are here because you want to do one thing. You want to learn how to be successful with this program. I even noticed the gentleman with the 49ers hat on. When I moved to South Bend, Indiana, I'll let him know. I lived next door to Joe Montana for 2 years. So, I am a big Joe Montana fan. But here's what we're going to do. And Scott and David's going to give you what this contest is all about. But the whole contest is designed for you to not only to increase the money that you can make, but it's going to get you out there and it's going to make you successful. And we're here on how to do this business, how to prospect for this business. Those phone numbers, when you get a quote and everything, you're not by yourself. We don't expect you to present it. We just expect you to get us on the line after they get their quote and let us go through it with them. You don't have to try to go through it with them. All you have to do is call them and say, did you get the quote? Yes. Have you had a chance to open it? Yes. Well, the next step that we need to do is let me get an expert on the phone with you and let them explain to you what the benefits are. And keep in mind, when you're opening the door, there's no deductible. The rates are real low, and there's not been a rate increase for 3 years. Is that a program that might interest you? There's so many. Just open the door. That's all you have to do. You don't have to be an expert in the whole benefit, what it covers and what it doesn't cover. Just get the census or the fact finder sheet, send it in. Each one of you have a website. How many of you gone to your website with David Allen Capital? Raise your hand. Everybody's gone to your website. If you have not gone to the website, there's a lot of this information up there. A lot of information about the plan, what the program is, but that's where you get a quote. So, Scott, I'm excited about the next 3 or 4 weeks as we do this training, as we get these people excited. And
I want to highlight something that you said.
The three of us are on the same page. We want you, not us, you to be successful. And I will tell you one thing, the money for the bonuses and for the contest, it's all sitting in a fund in the bank already for you. It's there. We're not waiting for production to do it. We have that money there for you now. Scott, you got.
Yeah, David, I want to highlight something that you said, because I know that as an excited new person, brains are spinning right now like, who do I know? Which is exactly the right question. Has everyone ever heard, raise your hand if you've heard this before. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Raise your hand if you've ever heard that statement before. Okay, so right now your wheels should be spinning like, okay, who do I know? And it will be very tempting, and David Jones, tell me if you agree with this. The fatal flaw would be for you to spend all your time thinking about these really big companies that have massive amounts of employees, et cetera. The reason it's a fatal flaw is because, let's just use the word political, let's use another word called bureaucracy. it's going to be lots of red tape. That getting a huge company that probably has really big, powerful brokers that would love to eat your lunch and say all kinds of nasty things to discredit you, that's going to be a tough road to hoe. That would be like asking the Titanic or a big mega ship. Just imagine a big ship to do a 180-degree turn, going against the direction they've been headed. How long does it take for that ship to turn around? A long time. But these small businesses, they're like speedboats. You know, they move like this. They turn on a dime. And you know, if you ask a Malibu ski boat to do a 180 turn, it's like, and you know, in 5 seconds they're wheeled around at high speed and they're heading a new direction. That's your small businesses. Small businesses are your bread and butter. The 5 to 50 for employees, 5 to 50. So if you're working with less than 50, that's a really good sweet spot to be. And actually, the smaller, the more likely they are to change. If you've got someone with 49 people, that's different than if you're talking to someone with 12 people. Does this make sense? And they're hungry. They're looking for saving nickels and dimes, while other companies may not be worried about nickels and dimes. So that is what I think is the right thing to do, and also the fatal flaw. Mr. Jones, do you agree with that, or have something against what I just said?
No, I totally agree. I had a group of brokers that I worked with, and we did small groups, 3 lives to 50. We did the 3 to 50, and in 10 years, we had over 2,400 groups on the books. What if you had half that many on the books? What would you be making? The market is out there. There's a lot of insurance companies that's pulling back. And I can give you one example. One company has gone from where they were writing 15 life groups. Now they've taken it up to 100. They don't want the small ones anymore. And the small ones are looking for something. And this is an opportunity for you to come in and be the hero for these individuals, to help them with themselves and their employees. Because what does benefits for the employees do? Retention, retention, retention. And when you sell a group, what does it mean to you? Residual, residual, residual each and every month. Right, Scott?
That is absolutely correct. So you've got 2 avenues to travel down. You know, through DAC, you've got the ability to build a network, right? You've got a team, you've got a tribe, you've got your own chemistry that you're building into your organization, and all of the people that make up your team, they can all be using healthcare. It goes right into the compensation plan. There's BV, there's QV that's paid out on that, and it's really good. And so that is the ultimate thing to have in your downline as far as I'm concerned. Beyond that, you've also got the ability for each person, you and or your team, to go outside of your downline and go find these businesses. And that creates retail revenue that's coming into you every single month. And it's also very good. So I hope everyone understands the 2 different lanes to travel into that are both acceptable. You want to develop a team that's using it and going out and talking about it. And you personally want to go out and find these businesses and these groups, as we like to call them, that are willing to say, hey, I would rather pay less than more. Hey, I would rather have no deductible than some deductible. I'd rather have a really huge network than a little network. I'd rather have no open enrollment versus open enrollment. I'd rather have no pre-existing conditions than pre-existing conditions. Does this make sense, everybody? Raise your hand if that's making sense. So if you're talking with businesses, now think about how complicated is it really to have an appropriate conversation that, I don't know, I imagine it would look something like this. And Rhonda, I'm looking at you. You're right in front of me. So I can see your face and your beautiful glasses. So that's who I'm talking to right now. So if I'm having a conversation with Rhonda and I know that she has influence over a company, or she is the influence of the company because she's the decision maker, then I just say, hey, Rhonda, can I ask you a question? And go ahead, Rhonda, unmute yourself for a second. Role play with me just for a moment here. Just push unmute. And so, okay, might have to be done for you. David is signaling he will take care of that. Rhonda Coons, by the way. Yep. Okay, so Rhonda, you're going to be unmuted in just a moment here. And so if I ask you, there we go. Okay, Rhonda, I gotcha. So Rhonda, if I'm only talking to you, if I know you have influence over your company or you are the influence to your company, one of the two. But I'm not going to go talk to a low-level employee because they don't have any say-so over the company. That's a tough road to hoe. So I go to Rhonda strategically. I say, hey, Rhonda, can I ask you a question? And you say,
Sure.
sure. Who do you currently use for your healthcare right now? And are you happy with them? And make up something, just role play.
Blue Cross, and no, not really. I'm not happy.
Okay, tell me what you love most about them. See, she said I'm not happy, but see, I didn't say don't tell me what you don't like about them. She'll do that by herself. So I don't need to beat anybody up. That just happens to be her answer. So she says Blue Cross, this is theoretical example, not beating up on Blue Cross. And she says, no, I'm not really happy. And I say, interesting. Tell me what you like most about them. And she's probably thinking, didn't I just say I don't like them? So she's going to take the tangent that she chooses at that point, but I will not be guilty of baiting somebody into some dogfight. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if you see the strategy in that. Okay. So I say, tell me what you like most about them, Rhonda.
I,
By the way, isn't this a great answer? Look at what's happening right now. She's truly struggling. Like, I don't know what to say that's good. I thought I was complaining. And so I'm going to come out of it positive, but she won't see the negative side out of me. And she is struggling right now. So go ahead and finish that however you want to, whatever you want to say about it. What do you like most about your Blue Cross policy for your company?
most of my employees are covered.
Okay, great. So it's important that your employees are covered is what you're saying, Rhonda, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and so Rhonda, let me ask you this. Are you the kind of company that doesn't really care about the bottom line? You've got more money to spend and your shareholders don't really care about whether you have a little bit of profit or a lot of profit. Are you the kind of person that's not really worried about how you look to your shareholders or how you look to the outside world? Or do you think there's something to financial prudence, and is that a strategy of yours?
I don't like the prices at all. So yes, I'd love to save some money.
Okay, so if I told you that I could turn you on to a company that's got a phenomenal reputation, so everybody write this down. If I could turn you on to a company that has a phenomenal reputation, number one, so I say something great, that has not raised their rates in 3 years. Oh, by the way, Rhonda, the national average is like 10 to 20% rate increase. I would presume that happened to you last year, yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. Well, so we haven't raised our rates in 3 years. Everybody write that down. We have not raised our rates in 3 years. Okay, and number two is number three is we actually reimburse money back to the employers for the unused portion of their claim account. And Rhonda, what that really means is that, you know, you guys are relatively healthy. Your group doesn't make enough claims to exhaust the claim account. There's money left over there. We're going to give it back to you at the end of the year. How does that sound to you, Rhonda? I mean, have you ever been reimbursed by Blue Cross? I think you said it was. Have you ever been reimbursed by Blue Cross?
Never. And that sounds fantastic.
So you're saying it's pretty unlikely at this point that Blue Cross would all of a sudden decide to start reimbursing people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
And
yeah.
so if you knew that there was a company out there that actually cared about that, would those little things that I just dropped on you, no deductibles, lower rates, and claim account reimbursements, are those things that are of interest to you and your company?
Very much so.
Great. Rhonda, let me ask you just one more question here. Would you mind if I did you a favor? I'm going to take the time to do this, so I want to minimize that from you. This company does a great job of getting quotes back really fast. Complimentary, free of charge. Everybody write that down. Complimentary, free of charge. So it doesn't hurt, right? No sting, doesn't hurt. Write it down. Complimentary, free of charge. And we're going to work with some professionals to get you back a quote as fast as I can extract about 10 minutes of information from you. Would you be willing to give up about 10 minutes of effort on your side to have us show you and demonstrate everything that I just said?
I would.
So 10 minutes of time makes a whole lot of sense to you to have your bottom line impacted. Is that what you're saying?
Very much so.
Okay, do you see why that's a good thing? Remember, there's a company out there that made billions with a B And that is the company I mentioned before, a 15-minute phone call. Could was the key word. So if you and I spend 10 to 15 minutes and I could do all those things that I just mentioned through this company, you wouldn't mind if that made you look a lot more financially prudent to your shareholders, would you?
No, be great.
Yep, great. And so now I'm just going to say, wonderful. Could I have an expert introduced to you, and would you be willing to share your booklet of benefits so that we could put that into a quoting system and get you the information you're looking for? Would that be acceptable to you?
Sure.
Okay, see how I asked permission the whole way through. Could I ask you a question? Write that down. Could I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question? When you get permission to have the conversation, that's different than squawk, 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 talk, 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 preach, preach, preach. Do you see why one is palatable while the other one is kind of like, whoa, I don't know if I have time for this right now. See the difference? Rhonda, do you see? Raise your hand, everybody, to see the difference. Yep. Okay. So that, David Jones, are we on the right track here? Is this a good strategy to use in your opinion?
Yes, it's a very good strategy. It is. You know, and those questions, because you keep the person answering, you know, yes, 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 and you're asking the right questions and they're agreeing that with you, and that's the important part. But, you know, the one thing, and that's very important, that once you get the door open and you can do that and get their interest and you got them listening to you, that's important. But, you know, here's one question I'd like to ask Scott, if I can.
Please do.
How many on here hate cold calling? Raise your hand. Okay, here's what everybody has to do. You have to look at yourself. You are a professional. You are a professional with David Allen Capital, which has a portfolio of many, many different business services. And one of them happens to be the medical program for you and your employees. And like Scott was leading in, which is a good question. Are you presently happy with what you're doing on your medical plan? Well, they're going to come back, well, no, or I don't have one, or I've looked at them, they're too expensive. The whole thing is you open that you are a professional with David Allen Capital, which what? Has a portfolio of business services. Oh, so you work with businesses. All of a sudden you broke that wall down of who you are. And you are the professional. Everybody on this call needs to get the mindset, I'm a professional with this company. You're a professional with David Allen Capital. You're a professional with longevity. And that's how you overcome the fear of cold calling, because you're not cold calling anymore, because you're a professional just trying to help others.
Good stuff. That's really good stuff. And so on that note, you know, you don't have to think about cold calling. By the way, people are not likely to talk to you anyways if you just call them up and you don't have that relationship. So that's why you want to think about this right here. Every one of you, unless someone's retired, right? And even then, they're still a candidate because they could turn you on to the relationship that they had with the 30-year exposure they had to the company they retired from. Think about this. These people that are retired can open doors, and the people that are still working are in an open door. And so everyone you know is either working for a business that needs what we have, or they worked for a business that needs what they have. Either way, those doors are open and they can introduce you to people that make decisions. So that's why you want to think strategically about, that's why it's so simple to have this conversation. And then strategically, or one last thing, and then we're going to transition back to David Rutz, is you have more than one service at David Allen Capital, and they're all relative. Now that you're talking to groups, now that you're talking to businesses, and you've opened the door, this is just my opinion, I think it's very simple to open the door on healthcare. I think it's very simple because everybody needs it and everybody knows they need it. And it's universal. 100% of the population needs healthcare. So now that you got the door open and you've settled in and you've got the healthcare business.
Before you continue, could you do us a favor? because you talk to Rhonda as if she owned the company. Can you
Yes.
talk to Rhonda as if she's an employee of a company because you transition into getting them to introduce you to a person?
Yes. Okay, Rhonda, ready to role play again? Okay, so we're going to unmute your line one more time here. So that was the role play on you're a business owner. Okay.
I'm scrolling down, a lot of names.
Yeah.
Rhonda,
I
you can
think they're all
probably,
alphabetical, David.
why don't you and I do it while I'm looking for her?
Okay, sure. So now in this setup here, David he's a friend of mine and he's working for a company. Okay. So, why am I going to go through David? Because he's a relationship that I know he'll do me a favor if the favor makes him look good. So this is what this is going to look like. It's called be a hero to your company. Write this down. Be a hero to your company. So I come and I say, hey, David. So first I'm gonna wow him. I'm gonna say the same thing to him that I did the employer. I say, hey, David, I'm just curious. You and Marlo, you're responsible. You've got this awesome family. I know you're not just winging your healthcare. Who are you currently using for healthcare?
Blue Cross.
Blue Cross. Okay. And David, what do you like most about Blue Cross?
I like that there's a lot of doctors. Outside of that, I'm not real pleased with them. They charge me too much. And I'm still confused after 40 years or 30 years with health insurance. I still don't understand it.
Okay, so when you say you have access to a lot of doctors, can you define that? What is a lot of doctors that makes you say, hey, this is great, I've got access to a lot of doctors?
Yeah, big network meaning in my town there's a lot of doctors I can choose from.
Okay, great.
About
So
the size of the network.
you'd say that's the most important thing to you, it sounds like.
It's it's convenient. Yeah.
Okay, great. So David, what I'm really curious about is if you had access to just as many doctors, would you like to pay less?
Yeah.
Do you have a deductible?
Huge, $8,000.
Would you like to have an $8,000 deductible go away?
Like yesterday.
Okay, and would you like it to be so that, not that you have this issue, but could you imagine that it'd be easier to not have pre-existing conditions on, the biggest part of the program?
Absolutely.
Yep, and don't you think it'd be convenient if there wasn't like restrictions around open enrollment?
Yeah.
Yep, and
I wouldn't have to wait till next year, that means?
right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You all about that? Yeah, and could you imagine, I mean, I know I'm just talking to you personally, but what about your company? Could you imagine if they got reimbursed money every year instead of being, experiencing 10 to 20% increases? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, especially if it was the same or better pricing.
Yep. So notice what we're doing here, guys. All we're doing is I'm going down that list of 6. You wrote down that list of 6, didn't you? I'm just interviewing him on a personal level. I'm just saying, hey, how would it feel if this? And how would it feel if that? And you got the list of 6 and you already know the answer before you ask the question. So what's cool is asking a question you already know that you're going to get the answer back on and just looking at their facial expression. That's my favorite part of this, is looking at their facial expression as they appear to be dumbfounded. And that's where I like to leave them. So now I've won David over. So David, this company does exist. As a friend, would you allow me to explore that with you and introduce you to just the right people or put the right information in front of you so you could come to your own conclusion?
I mean, I would, but my employer provides my health care. So, I mean, I don't know that I could switch anyway.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about that then. So theoretically, before we even go there, on a personal level, doesn't this just make a lot more logical sense than what you're currently doing?
Yeah, you had me at no deductible and large network.
Okay, so now imagine that you're the owner of the company you work for. You're not just working for this company, you're the owner. Imagine that you had this information at your disposal. Could you picture making the kind of decision that would be pleasing to shareholders, pleasing to stockholders, pleasing to quarterly reports, pleasing to your bottom line, helping to, leave more money in the bank?
Employees, pleasing to your employees. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. David, here's what I'm thinking. Let's make you a hero to your company. Let's make this your idea. So first, I just want to make sure that you're on board first, because I don't want you to say something or represent something that doesn't make sense to you first. So does that make sense, David?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I understand that you're covered by your employer, but I want you to be the hero to your company, like this is your idea. together, could you imagine if you and I went with this information to your employer and say it saved them? I mean, it could potentially and theoretically save them 10, 20, 30, 40% to their bottom line on healthcare costs. Do you think they'd look at you even more favorably than they already do?
But you're saying they could save money monthly and have no deductible?
Correct.
Yeah, then absolutely I'd be a hero. And you'd
And
be a hero.
potentially be reimbursed at the end of the year, depending on their claims.
Let's do it. I got to get you in my personnel department.
Perfect. Do you know the person, David, that we could theoretically go and speak to? You know just who we need to talk to?
I call them 4 times a year because I don't understand what I'm covered for or what I'm not covered for. So yeah, I know them very well. I can get you on the phone with them.
Okay. And David, would you be willing to make that call, knowing how exciting and important this is to your company? Would you be willing to set that up in the next 24 to 48 hours if it's in your control?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, there's a great role play, everybody. All we did is I showed David the value personally, so he wasn't like, yeah, I'm just doing Scott this favor, but I really don't know what this is all about, and I don't want to get stung, and this could bite me in the butt, and so therefore, I'm probably not going to set that appointment. I'm just going to give Scott a bunch of lip service. So that's why I went to him first, and I had him understand the value so that when he went to his employer, he would be the salesman. You see that? I want him to be the salesman, not me. By the time he goes to his HR person, I don't want him going, yeah, I got a friend of mine. He wants to show you something. I'm not really sure what it is, but I told him I'd make this call, and would you just take a look at it? If you're the HR person, you're going, not a chance. I got this broker over here. We're not changing anything, especially if you're not convicted. But if David goes and says, oh my goodness, John in HR, you have got to meet my friend Scott. I had just had my mind blown. I've been employed here for a long time, and I call you 4 times a year to talk about benefits, and I just heard something that made my head explode, and I'm so excited because I know it's going to impact our company. Would you be willing to meet my friend Scott? And now John at HR is going, you betcha, especially coming from you, David. If you give it that kind of an accolade, absolutely. How's that role play sound?
Agreed. Well done. Thank you.
David Jones, do you want to add to that? Is that an acceptable role play?
Oh, that's fine. Excellent.
Okay. So that's what it looks like to go to an employer. That's what it looks like to go to a person. Here's my objective every day. I mean, I could open up my journal and show you my list. Every day, I expect to have at least 1 appointment to where I'm personally sharing the healthcare. And every day, I'm at least adding 1 new appointment every single day. Now those are just minimums, okay? So if you look at the work days in a week and you take off weekends, let's just say there's 22 days in a week, or excuse me, in a month that are work days. And so I've got 22 appointments every single month. This is on a minimum. And I've booked 22 more. Do you see how that's working? So those are just minimums. But that is my personal absolute minimum on a daily basis, that I'm just doing at least that. And if I can do more, fantastic. And by the way, there are days when I've had as many as 5 appointments in a day. And I've set multiple appointments in a day. So you figure out what works for you based on where you want to go. But I'm telling you, this is a great strategy. Now, David Jones mentioned it already, and I want to pass the baton back to David Rutz. Would you all agree? Did we just talk about some really juicy stuff? Has your belief, raise your hand if your conviction, your belief level, your appreciation and understanding for DAC healthcare has increased. Raise your hand if it's gone up as a result of this call. Raise your hand if you are more confident and you feel like things make more sense now as a result of this call. Okay, so we have people in agreement with us? Perfect. Now, I wanted you to put some names and faces. David Jones is the founder of this concept and this program. Really important that you meet him and know him. When you call for customer service, he just added his name to the list of phone calls that could come in on the company's behalf to answer your questions. I think that's pretty cool that you could actually get David Jones on the phone to potentially talk to your person. So before I transition back to David Rutz, Mr. Jones, is there anything else that you'd like to add or share before I pass the baton back?
No, not really. Other than, we're going to continue this on next week, another call, and, people can come back, and we're going to continue to promote this contest. And I know everybody on this call's got to be wondering, what's this money all about? So I think it's time to release, to let the cat out of the bag, or the lion.
Yeah. So David Jones, thank you very much for sharing what you did, your insights, your wisdom, your history, your background, your knowledge and competence of the industry. It's really neat to see how that's melded over with David Allen Capital. And we could not have this program in any better hands than with David Rutz. So David Rutz, thank you for embracing this program and modeling it and mentoring it and teaching on it and training on it. Your websites are up, everybody, dachealthcare.com. And we've got a phenomenal, unbelievable compensation program that's wrapped into this. And now we have a contest that's starting right now, running through the end of September. And wait till you see the cash that David Jones and I have dropped into David Allen Capital on your behalf that's sitting in the bank right now. So Mr. David Rutz, I'm passing the baton back to you. Thank you for letting us speak tonight and share with everybody around the nation all this great news.
Thank you so much, Scott and David. Great job as usual, both of you guys. Again, 3 pages of notes. And you all, anyone who's seen Scott Pardulis do this presentation over the last few months, you can see the amount of presentations he's done, because his craft of communicating this has gotten better and better and better and better. And you can expect the same thing as you have more and more conversations. And David Jones, I said you've been at this 20 years, 46 years. I apologize. I remembered I thought it was the 70s or the 90s. So I went with the 90s just to be safe. So I'm glad you clarified that. But folks, as David Jones said, they're going to be doing trainings all throughout this contest period for you, making themselves available to do trainings like this, take questions, etc. Tonight, we're up against a window. We've got a 9:30 Zoom presentation for prospective agents. So I don't know that we're going to be able to take questions tonight, but this recording, I got so many good notes on Scott's presentation both ways. I've got all my notes, but best part is this is recorded and it should be posted by the end of tonight. You can start watching it over and over and over again. We'll be making promotions to everyone on future trainings that Scott and David are going to be doing that you can come to, ask all your questions. And the best thing you do is start having conversations now so that you can start coming back with questions to those live trainings. Say, what happens when this and what happens with that? But let's get to the cash bash. Before I show you this, I just want to say this was not my idea. I did not come up with this idea. I did not come up with any part of this. You're going to see some neat things about this. It's because of their background that they know what you, as an agent with teams of agents, would want in a contest. And not only what you would want in a contest, but what you'd want to promote to your team. Usually, I've got to tell companies who are offering money, well, what about this? And what about this? And have you thought about this? And because they don't understand our culture. These two have been a part of our culture and helped create the culture of network marketing, multi-level marketing, professional cooperative marketing, whatever you want to call it. They've been in it for decades successfully. So they understand what your agents want. It's not just healthcare, guys. You're building a entrepreneur factory. And each person in your team is an entrepreneur in hope, in waiting, a hero inside. They got it in there. And so when they put this incentive together, I was blown away. They're already paying us a large percentage. When you look at healthcare, how much money's got to be retained for claims and then processing and looking at adjustments from doctors and all the things that are involved in healthcare, it's not cheap. Unfortunately, it's a highly regulated and very expensive industry, and they still pay us residual every single month. We're not on the hook if someone's claims go above their claim fund. You're not on the hook for bad debt. You're not worried about, they've got all that covered, and they've got reinsurance. They got all the everything deep. We look deep at this. Are we getting in bed with a situation that could come back to haunt us? They got it down pat. But even with that, they said, we want to throw some money at our top producers in DAC. Okay. We do a weekly call together, and they threw it up on a weekly call, and then it got better today. Just today, they added more to it. So let's get right into it. But before we go there, I'm going to go through real quickly our simple strategy of how you get paid. I'm going to break through this quick because we've gone through this many times. So bear with me one moment as I open the presentation. Okay. So you should see, Scott, can you give me a thumbs up if you see simple strategy on your screen? Beautiful. Guys, I'm going to go through this fairly fast because it's that simple. And I want to get into the bonus that's going on in July, August, and September. But before we get there, we're going to go through a simple strategy and how you're paid on healthcare. First of all, on your own service, you don't earn retail profit on yourself. You get personal qualifying volume, and you get qualifying volume on anyone in your team that orders the healthcare. All right, and bonus volume on anyone in your team that orders the healthcare. The amount you get is set. If you order this plan for yourself, you have, if it's an individual plan, 75 personal qualifying volume points, and that's also 60 to 75 in BV based on the plan you choose. If you have your family enroll on this, like Scott Fardulis did before we started marketing this, he was already a believer and a customer. Okay, then you get 100 personal qualifying volume points toward your qualification requirement, and there's $80 to $95 bonus volume. Okay, so that's what you get on your own personal service. You don't earn on yourself. You get qualifying volume points, and you save a lot of money in your healthcare. But when you refer business owners, those are retail customers now. We call them retail customers. Now you do get paid, and if you refer a business owner, remember there must be 2 people minimum, 2 members minimum per employee. Now you make $12 to $15 per month per employee on the individual plan. Okay, that's monthly individual plan. Business plan, I'm sorry, family plan, you make $16 to $19 per month per member. So our average business has 10 members. Okay, so 5 on the individual plan and 5 on the family plan. So if you refer a business, on average, you'll make about $155 a month or about $1,800 a year for every business you refer. So if you use the conversation Scott had and you introduce some, you can see what that can become. Do the math. Hey, if you just referred 100, you got 100 active businesses at $1,800, you're making $180,000 a year. Did I do that right? That's a lot of money. I got to go back and do that math. I got to do that math. No, it's right. Simple strategy. Help 3, get 3. This is a way you can get to 80 grand residual without getting a bunch of personal customers. That was if you went out and got 100 clients yourself, which some people will do. But this is when you're going out and just building your team. Watch if your team just did a little bit, and you'll see how this cash bonus can help you. So here's your goal. Number 1, you go get 3 clients. Like Scott said, you enough contacts, it's not going to be long. You have 3 clients yourself. So that's goal number 1. You're earning on those every single month. What? You're making about $5,500 a year for getting those 3 clients. That's better than any Uber job. You don't have to go drive drunk people. You just refer 3 businesses, help them with their health care. Sorry, Uber's a great company. And you also have QV points. I get a little excited about how good this business is for all of you and myself and everyone else. The second thing is help 3 agents go out and do what? Do the same thing, get 3 clients. And when they each have 3 clients, guess what? They're each making $5,500 a year. You've helped set an entrepreneur free. They're on their way. They're not losing money, they're making money. And you are now also making money in your personally enrolled agents. You're at 12 grand a year just by having 3 clients and having 3 personally enrolled agents with 3 clients. This isn't 700 reps on auto ship. This is 3 clients personally and 3 agents who got 3 clients. You're making $12,000 a year already. But let's continue this. Help 3, get 3, through 3. So your second level goes out and has 3 agents with 3 clients. Guess what happens? You just went to $38,000 a year. You're making college graduate money without having to be a college graduate, without having to get 4 years. And now let's go through 3 levels. You're already at 27 clients now. So help 3, get 3, through 3. You're making $90,000 a year combined. Now, of course, this is everyone having 10 or 3 clients with 10 employees, right? The odds are most people are going to build it this perfect, but I just wanted to show you the numbers. So help 3, get 3, through 3 is a simple plan that everyone can do. You're only talking about 40 agents got 3 clients. Okay, go back and look at this again. It's not you getting a bunch of clients. It's you having 3 who get 3 who get 3. So you got 48 agents who had 3 clients each, and you have 3, and you're at 90 grand a year. Now, it all starts with you getting your 3. So let's give you some incentive. Your website is dachealthcare.com/ID. When you go there, if you put that on Facebook, by the way, this is the link that comes up. This is the image that goes on Facebook. If you type in dachealthcare.com/ID or text it to someone, text someone that, this is what they're going to see. Okay, so let's go through the cash giveaway that Scott Fardulis and David Jones came up with. It's live for July, August, and September, not just July. They extended it. Who wins cash? Well, this is a performance-based culture. We're all going to win in this, but the top 2 client enrollments in the month of July, and then the top 2 in August, and the top 2 in September are all going to win some cash. Now, in enrollment, to qualify, you need at least 2 clients in the month of July, or 2 in August, or 2 in September. So you need 2 to win, and they must have 10 members total. So two companies with 5 members each, you'd have 10. So that's what it takes. We're not concerned about that. You go do your part, you'll have 2 with 10. All right. So that's the minimum though. And also they must enroll by the end of the month. So if you turn someone in July 16th and they go, yeah, we're going to proceed, but they don't activate till August, they count as an August company, not a July company. All right. They may have done the quote in July, then they count as a July quote, but an August enrollment. Why does that matter? Because we're also awarding I didn't come up with this. They understand activity sometimes doesn't become a result. And they said, we want to give something to the people who get the most quotes too, because some of them out of their control they'll do everything right and they won't get a customer out of it because the company just won't decide to move forward. They're even rewarding the top 2 quote. Now you can win both, but you might have a July quote that doesn't activate till August. So it'll count as a July quote completion and an August enrollment completion. So you can see how these are being counted. And a quote completion, again, is they submitted the request a quote and they did the conversation. All right. Now, what do you win? How much cash each month? Big dollars. July and August, each month they're doing this. The top enroller for the month, first of all, rising tide raises all ships. We're all going to be more active. So we're all going to earn a lot more residually too. That's why these things make sense. Number 1 enroller is going to get $1,000 cash, $1,000 cash, $1,000 cash. Number 2 for enrollment, $500, $500. Number 2, $1,500 free dollars plus the residual for getting all those clients. They're giving you money now to build a residual for yourself. That's like a scholarship. Going to play football, you love playing, and they're going to pay you to play. Here, they're paying you to go build your residual. I can't argue with that. And by the way, I love the activity bonus here. Quote completions, $500 for first place, $250 for second place. Even if they don't activate, they still count toward you winning. No longer do you have to say, well, I don't even know if they're going to do anything. Hey, go get it. This is an activity qualification right here. Simple. That's July and August. Guess what? September, doubling it up. Doubling it up. They said we want to do more in September because that's a big month going into enrollment, open enrollment in November. So what they said is first place is $2,000 in the month of September, and second place is $1,000 in the month of September. Not done. Doubling up in the quote completions as well. $1,000 first place, $500 second place. Come on now. That's $9,000. They're giving free money to go do what we should be doing without needing to get a bonus. I just love it. Again, this is their idea. We did not create this. They came. We didn't say, hey, we need this. They said on their own, your agents deserve this. Let's make it happen. And they're not done. When I said they understand our business, they said, you know what? This isn't about just personal. This is about leadership too. This is about being a leader as well. Every time I run an incentive, I want to do something that rewards you based on how do we do our service star. You got to get 3 agents who do something too. And help them get service star, right? Help your team do well in this, and you can win as well. We have a top enroller bonus too. They put it together, and they say combine all your personally enrolled agents, account all the members they enroll in through the 90-day period, the July, August, and September. They're not doing this each month. This is the combination of 90 days. If you can be a good communicator, promoter, leader, help your team do this, the person with the most new members, that's total members. So 1 employee with 10 members is 10 members. The person who's got most personally enrolled agent members. So you recruit 3 agents, or you've already recruited 3 agents, they go out and sign up 30 members. You've got 30 toward your number. The number 1 most enrolled members is the winner. We're going to recognize the heck out of them because leadership helps, people get moved without being touched by a leader. A leader emotionally touches them, spiritually touches them, but doesn't physically touch them. And whoever out there is the best leader to help activate their team is going to get $1,000. You may win the top enroller. You may win the top quoter. You may win the top everything. It's out there for the taking. And right now we're so new. This is not like there's people already getting 50 clients a month. If you right now, you may be able to win this with 10 new clients. We don't know, maybe 15 new clients, maybe 6. We don't know. Every month is different. But it's real money. Again, your replicated site is dachealthcare.com. This recording will be posted so that you can refer people to it. We've got 2 more minutes and we've got to end this. This is your site. I'm just going to turn this back over to Scott and Dave. I wish I had a little more time. We'll be talking about this for the next 90 days. We'll be creating videos on this. There's already a video on Vimeo talking about it. And we're going to get Scott and Dave out here to be sharing training over and over and over again. So with that, I'm just going to ask them to close us out here. We are on a 90-second window. So Mr. Fardulis, why don't you and Dave close us out?
All right, David Jones, take 30 seconds. Your final word.
I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. The next training, bring some of your downline, bring some of your representatives with you on the next training, because they can't do it unless they know what we're doing.
All right, same here, 30 seconds. Look at this face. And look at the face of David Rutz. Look at that smile. Look at David Jones. We're not smiling because it's cheesy or like we're supposed to. It's because we're happy. We know this is good. We know it's juicy. So please, 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 we're asking you to embrace this. Don't take it lightly. We've done everything we can to make this fun, interesting, impactful. We're giving you a springboard. You know, you've walked out on a diving board before, and sometimes there's no spring in the board. You just jump. We put some serious spring in this. We're going to throw you way high. All you have to do is just jump, and it'll do the rest. So trust us when we say we've thought about you and put ourselves in your shoes. Now let's go have some fun. And back to you, David.
Love it, love it, love it. You guys are awesome. I appreciate your partnership. I appreciate your willingness to put real $10,000 of actual cash up already there for all these agents to go grab and to make a great residual in the process, serving clients, building giants. It's what we're all about. Folks, thank you for being here. We're going to end this, and we're going to start a new one on the same channel, daczoom.com, our business opportunity meeting for prospective agents. If you haven't seen it, come on back and see what you can introduce people to each week, where they can get started with us for free, making money in this, making money in payment processing, making money on funding, and making money on consumer services. God bless you all. Have a great night. If we don't talk again, enjoy this wonderful 4th of July. But I expect some of you to come back in 4 more minutes. God bless you all. Scott, Dave, thank you. Can't wait till the next one. Appreciate y'all. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.